Now, despite public scepticism, Hong Kong's leader Carrie Lam says her announcement that she is formally withdrawing a contentious extradition bill is genuine. The legislation would have allowed Hong Kongers to be sent to the Chinese mainland to face trial. After 13 weeks of protests, Ms Lam last night promised to formally tear it up, but within hours, demonstrators were back on the streets. Our reporter Eliza Borrello is in Hong Kong and joins us now. Eliza, Hong Kong's chief executive has made another statement this afternoon. What else has she had to say?
Well, as you mentioned, Kirsten, Carrie Lam made about a 10-minute televised address on local television here in Hong Kong last night. The aim of that was to inform the public that the very contentious extradition bill that has sparked 13 weeks of unrest that we've seen here on the streets of Hong Kong would be formally withdrawn. Now, that came after her announcement in June that she was prepared to suspend the bill. That offer had not pacified protesters, so last night, after several weeks of discussion with colleagues and apparently closed-door meetings with a group of young people from Hong Kong, she said that she was prepared to formally withdraw this legislation. But as early as last night, we detected there was scepticism on the streets of Hong Kong. People that have spoken to reporters have said they weren't sure that that offer was genuine. They're concerned that maybe this is just an attempt to quell the unrest for now, that similar legislation could be put forward in future. So Carrie Lam has come out in the last hour or so and said this is a genuine offer. This is what she had to say.
Since my announcement, I noticed that there are still some worries about this particular procedure. I want to reiterate here that the sole purpose of the electoral procedure is to withdraw the bill. This involves the Secretary for Security as a responsible government official to announce in the Legislative Council that the bill will be withdrawn. There will be no debate and no voting.
Now, Eliza, the protesters have repeatedly said they have 5 demands. Withdrawing the bill was one of them. How far apart are the protesters and the government on those demands now?
Well, if last night's anything to go by, Kirsten, they are still poles apart. Within hours of Carrie Lam's televised address, protesters could be heard back on the streets. We heard the chanting that we've seen on the news so much echoing around the city again. Pictures emerged a couple of hours later of protests at the Mong Kok police station, which has been one of the flashpoints here in Hong Kong. 22-year-old Hong Kong activist Joshua Wong, who's one of the most prominent faces of the protest movement, spoke last night, and he said that the protesters shouldn't give up until their demand for free elections, probably the most ambitious of their 5 demands, is met. Another of the contentious demands, one of the things that young people in particular are really keen to see here, is an independent inquiry into what they say has been police brutality during these protests. And on that point, Carrie Lam is insistent she is not budging. She says the appropriate body to investigate those kind of complaints is a council that's already set up, and that's who she says should be investigating it, Kirsten.
That's our reporter Eliza Borrello in Hong Kong.